Good morning, everybody. So let us start our lecture. So this is the summary of test 2 grades. And in our last lecture, we were discussing our old exams, old test questions. So in our last lecture, maybe I discussed test 3 from test 3. Today I want to discuss with another test. By the way, I teach another section in the morning from 9 to 10. In that section today, this morning, I discussed summer 19 test 2A. Summer 19 test 2A, yes, test 2A. Question 1, question 2, and question 3. So I will upload my video for that section on my YouTube channel. So if you you should watch those video. So I discuss all these questions. Just I want to give a brief. Okay, the G dot has contacted you to help write code to control the traffic signal in Georgia. That's good. So you must create a traffic signal class. Okay, with 3 hidden attributes. What are meant by hidden attributes? Private, right? That's good. Okay, the attributes are green, yellow, and red. So it does not say what will be the type of attributes. So you can declare private boolean green. So this is my class name, class traffic signal. You can define these variables green, yellow, and red, either boolean or string. So, and you ask to write 2 constructors. One's a default constructor that set all lights to 1. So if you declare your variable as boolean, then 1 means true. You have to make in the default constructor, you have to make all of the fields equal to true. Or if you define this field as a string, then you need to make green equal to 1, yellow equal to 1, red equal to 1. That is the thing that first constructor is asking. And another constructor, an overloaded constructor that sets only green to 1. It does not say other. Okay, for testing purpose. Okay, that the overloaded constructor will have only green set to 1. So if you define boolean your green, then you need to set is green equal to true. Otherwise, if you define green as a string, then you need to say green equal to 1. So this is the overloaded constructor. Only either this line or this line. You see that huge points, that problem has 50 points. So in your upcoming test, you will get a question to write a class, to decorate a class that will have 50, 60, 70, 80 points out of 100. So in the last part it says, and a method, to write another method to change the active signal to the next in the sequence, green, yellow, red. So it does not strictly tell you that what you have to make, but you can write your name function with any name, for instance display signal. Okay, and so you can say green equal to true. So an active signal has only one light 1. If green equal to true, yellow will be false and red will be false. Or you can say yellow is true and then green is false and red is false. Or you can say false is true and then green and yellow are false. Or if you declared your green, yellow, and red as string, then you can say green equal to 1, yellow equal to off, red equal to off, like this way. And now using those traffic signal class, you are asked to create 2 objects. So this is 1 or 2 object that Okay, the first object should use the default constructor. So if you use default constructor, then easy to write to create a class like this. Create an object, for instance S1, and if we use the second object, we will have to use the overloaded constructor. So the overloaded constructor, for instance S2 object, is like this, either this or this. So I discussed this in detail. Okay, and finally it says another 10 points. So 50 plus, here is 50 points, and here is 20 points. So 70 plus here is 10 points. This one, it says, using the objects you created previously, call the method to change the light to the next sequence. So the method that change this is called, we said, display signal. We need to call this method just using the object you created, just one line. Sometimes you say if you can write one line for 10 points or 5 points. Okay, so detail will be in my previous sections lecture. If you need to recap from there, you can watch that lecture video. But for your lecture today, I want to discuss another question, another set. Okay, so I discussed test 2A. So our summer schedule was different, something different. In regular semesters, we had 4 tests, but in summer we had only 3 tests. Okay. So I want to select one randomly, maybe final version C, summer 19 final C. It should have a class. Decoration problem. Okay, it says to 1D array, 2D array. This is the array question. Okay, this one. Let us start with this one. I have not sent this problem yet. So it has 30 points, and then okay. In final, you will have maybe 30-40 points, but in the upcoming test 3, you will get 70 to 80 points for one question. Okay. Okay, I like your active participation while do it. Okay, I can do it in 5 minutes, but I don't like to do it in 5 minutes, but I want to spend maybe whole lecture or 30 minutes so that we discuss everything and you understand. Okay, so let us read the question first. So when you get your question, although our test writer, they write the question in a good manner, that they write the question like a story or a problem. Yes?
Would it be possible for you to start with like a 5-minute version and then follow that up with like a 25-minute version?
Okay. Okay, that's good. I did not read the question earlier, so let me read the question earlier. Okay. So food trucks are now a thing and are very profitable. Okay, making anywhere from 250,000 to 500,000 per year. Okay. For these questions, you are going to write, okay, class Traco truck. Actually, this problem start from here. We need to write a class name. They give the name of your class, Traco truck, that focuses on inventory. Okay, this is the actual story. All taco trucks have a certain amounts of meat, okay, cheese and taco shells. Okay, it also knows how many tacos are sold at $7 each, because your taco truck is known for the crazy amount of cheese it puts on a taco. For every taco you sell, 2 units of cheese are used, but only 1 unit of meat and 1 shell. Okay, write class taco truck has a method sell taco that updates the inventory and also updates the number of tacos sold. Okay, so further include a method that returns the total revenue of the truck has made. Oh, the last question. Okay, unit 2. I think it takes time. Okay, so let us start from here. So we have a class name, right? Taco truck. So how do we start a class? How do you start writing a class?
Class taco truck.
Okay. Class taco truck. Then what?
Curly bracket.
Curly bracket. This one? This one?
No.
Okay, I need this one as my closing, but I need my opening. Right? Happy, right? Okay, so for C++, okay, for C++, we need a semicolon. Okay, and semicolon. Okay. So what? Let us now that a class. What does a class contain? A class contains some variables and some functions. So we need to figure out what are the variables over here. So the taco trucks have a certain amount of meat, okay, cheese and taco shells. So these are the hints of our field or attributes or variables, right? So let us highlight this. So we need to find amount, okay, of meat, amount of cheese and taco shell. Okay, so amount of meat, maybe how can we say amount of meat? Maybe fluid type, how many pounds, right? How many pounds of meat we do have? It have certain contains meat, so maybe say fluid. Okay, I'm sorry. Amount meat or meat amount, whatever you say. Okay, then what? We need cheese amount, right? So we want to put this amount as pound or ounce or whatever say amount cheese. Okay, and taco shell. So what should be data type for taco shell? Can it be fluid? Should not be fluid, right? Can it be boolean? No, it should be int, right? Thank you. Int. So we can say whatever you say about taco shell. Okay, that's it. And let us see.
Question.
Yes.
Why can't we use integer for the amount of meat and the amount of cheese?
Yeah, then you can say whether how many cheese you have, like 10 pounds or 9 pounds or 8 pounds or 5 pounds. You have to say whole amount figure, whole pound figure. You cannot say I have 2.5 pounds. Usually we do not use meat pound by pound, right? We use little bit. So it's better to use fluid type. Okay, it also knows how much tacos are sold. Okay, and later you should remember that it also keep revenue, how much total revenue made. Okay, so we need two more variables, how much tacos sold, right? We need another integer type, how many tacos sold. Okay, so number sold, you can say whatever you say, taco sold, and what we say at the end we say total amount of revenue, that money, right? How many? So you can say in this time you can optional. It is say money in, since they will sell a taco $7 each is whole number. So you can say either int or float. Int revenue amount. We will need this, or you can say int or float, no problem. Either say int or float, no problem, okay? So let me make it float. Okay. So it says, so by reading these lines, we need to infer how many attributes we have for my class. Okay, so far we got only the field attributes, right? And then what else we need? If a class contains two things, what else? Some methods or functions, right? So let us search for the function. Yeah. Okay, because your track is known for the crazy amount of cheese it puts on a taco. For every taco you sell, 2 units of cheese are used, okay, but only 1 unit of meat and 1 shell. Okay, so by remembering this, we will use this when we develop our method over here. So write class taco. He's asking, we wrote the class, started the class that has a method is called shell taco. That updates the inventory and also updates the number of tacos sold. Okay, how can we do that? So we need method, right? Okay, we need a method. So my method name is given over here. What do we need to do? To what? Okay, and what? No, not semicolon. Semicolon is function call. So I'm defining my method. Okay, and then what should I write in the front? We need to use access modifier, right? Public. And then what? We should we put a data type, return type? Okay. If say void, then be careful. If somewhere it says you cannot have return statement. Okay. But okay. So but if it says yes, whatever you say, if it says right, if you put a return statement other than void, then you can return a value of that kind. But remember that when I'm putting void, then I cannot have a return type, right? Return statement, but I can have a print statement. Okay. So this is the startup of my method. So what do we need to do? We need to use this. We need to use this sentence to complete this method. So what does this say? Okay.
2 cheese plus 1 meat plus 1 shell.
Okay, so for instance it says okay, every taco you sell 2 units of cheese. Actually better if I could have a constructor, although it does not say explicitly to use a constructor, but if I use a constructor then it's better. Let me do develop a constructor over here, although it does not say. So how to develop a constructor?
Call
What is called a constructor?
public taco truck.
Public. A constructor is a method that has exactly same name of its class name, right? Okay, how do I say this is not a method yet? If when I give a parenthesis, then it becomes a method, and then it needs the body, and body needs to end. So this taco, whenever you create a taco, it takes how many it says, okay, what is 2 unit of cheese and 1 unit of meat and one shell, right? So it consumes, okay, every taco you contains that, what it will do, it will use or it will reduce the amount of meat by 1 unit, right? It will consume, that means it is used, right? So you can say like this way, amount of meat, say equal to amount of meat minus 1, right? It will decrease the amount of meat by 1 unit. Okay, then what else is changed? Amount of cheese, right? By how many units?
2.
Okay, amount of cheese equal to amount of cheese minus 2. And how many unit shell?
1 minus equals 1.
Taco shell. So I can say taco shell equal to taco shell minus 1. Okay, this is a way if you declare your constructor, okay, that it will do that way. Or since this program does not ask you to decorate a constructor, so I want to avoid this, but I want to put this thing in my cell taco method. So I want to avoid this. Okay, the cell taco method, it will do same thing, right? It will reduce meat amount by 1 unit, and it will reduce cheese amount by 2 unit, and it will reduce taco shell by 1 unit, right? Okay, and in addition to this, what it will do, further include a method that return, so then okay, so now you can have a print method over here. Print. So what will be printed over here? Number of meat unit remaining, right? So I can say like this, number of meat unit remaining plus this, okay, plus some number of cheese remaining, plus this will be number of amount of cheese plus some space and taco shell remaining as number of taco shell. Okay, you can print this, but it does not say explicitly that you need a print, but mainly that this part you need. This is the composite part. Okay. Oh, sorry, you see it has separate space, that they gave you this space to write constructor over here, but I wrote all together in one place. Okay, never mind. But for instance, if you write it, oh, you see, they said we need constructor. They give a space constructor. That means it explicitly does not say that you need constructor, but you can use constructor over here. We can put our constructor code, this code here. Okay, so since we have constructor, so let us do this constructor defined different way. So how many cheese it will use and how many so meat amount whenever it use, so let us meat amount equal to 1, cheese amount equal to 2. How many units it will take when you create a taco object. And let us do this way. Constructor is do this way. It is using, I'm telling that my constructor is using 1 unit of meat, 2 unit of cheese, and 1 taco shell. Since I have constructor to write this, okay, but and then let me separate it. And my taco shell method, let me copy this one. Space for method, this one. Okay, you have enough space if you need constructor. Okay, then finally we need one more method. Further include a method that returns the total revenue the truck has made. Okay, so in this case there is no name for the method. You can give any name. Okay. So instead of giving over here, let me write my code over here first, and then I'll paste over there. So public revenue earned what does this method do? Can you please tell me? It returns the total revenue amount, right? Yeah. Okay, so we declared a variable revenue amount, right? Yeah. This float type, right? So we should return a float type variable. Okay, what does it will do?
Multiply sold by 7.
Yes. Number of tacos sold. It will to amount, revenue amount equal to, okay, I could say actually I don't need revenue amount over here. Even if I do not give revenue amount here, that is good. Okay, but if I declare a variable revenue amount over here, then if I do not put over there data type, then I need to declare over here revenue amount equal to what? Number of tacos sold times 7, right? Times 7. We do not need to put $sign over here. Okay, but if you if you had something like for $7.50, that's right, $7.50. Do not even put C for cents, or do not put $sign. Okay, program will not take $sign. Data type will make the amount. Okay, then what do you need to return?
Revenue amount.
Return revenue amount. So this, sorry, but no, this method will return a value. So I said it returns a okay, one thing in this program, although this program does not say, so far it is good, but anyone has any question?
Yeah, so you could put the, in the brackets up there, the revenue amount and the taco sold in there, right?
Here,
If I wanted to just pass those variables to.
here, you said?
Yeah.
As pass, yeah, I can pass argument as local variable, but I don't know so how many will be. I can declare that way, but I declare local variable as. I can use that way. So because I'm using this, for instance, number of tacos sold from my class field. Okay, but if you do not use it here, then you can declare that amount, that variable as an argument over here. Yes.
When you create later on the object for the taco truck,
I did not create any object yet. We will go to the object maybe later.
I know, I had a question about the method that you just created.
Which method? This method?
Yeah.
Okay, what is your question?
Since you create the variable revenue amount in there,
Yes.
every time you create an object, would it recreate the same variable?
No, it will create variable one time. For first time it will call this, it create this variable. So for instance, in order to be confusion, I can say that this way.
And it would associate the variable revenue amount with each object.
This is why there is a confusion I wanted to discuss. If we better if we can use a static variable. If we make this static. So anyone has any questions? So I will go the updated next part. So for instance, in order to make these questions, there is everything in this world you can make better and better. So if I want to make this question updated and make it a better question, then I would say, since actually this did not say because we did not officially discuss static modifier. If I would have a float static, if I would give, sorry, not this one. If I would have this one in static public taco cell, okay, then what I would do, so in every constructor, when we create a constructor, we would increase the number of taco cell by 1. Every time I create a taco object, it will increase the number of taco cell by 1. Okay, and in that case, so then whenever we call the amount of revenue, in that case, we need to make this static also. In that case, when you call this method, it would keep track for the whole amount of taco sold. That was your question related to. But since we did not officially discuss static modifiers, so then maybe they did not give this question yet. Okay, so if you do not use static, then fine, it will work this way. So, okay. Also, it does not say how to create an object. So let me extend those part. So then let us create an object. Let's create some objects, taco objects. How can I create taco objects? Can anyone please tell me?
It's their class, then you want to name a variable.
Okay, name of my variable, maybe taco T1. My variable is simple, equal to Yeah, I wrote the class name equal to what?
Taco truck.
New
Taco.
taco truck.
Right.
By doing this, I am calling the constructor, right? And every taco object is created, it is being used one meat unit and two cheese unit and one taco shell. So initially this program, for instance, if my truck has, for instance, initially 100-pound meat, okay, and maybe which one is more, meat or cheese? Cheese is more.
Yes.
Okay, use maybe 200-pound cheese and taco shell maybe 150, and initially number of tacos sold will be 0, right? And initially number of revenue amount will be 0. This is the initial value that my truck initially has. I can do that way. So if I do this, but it's not asking you. Just I'm discussing that we can do more. Okay, so every time we create a taco object, it will consume that amount of meat, cheese, and so if I want to create one more cheese object, taco object, then I need to give a different name, right? I cannot use same name, right?
Right.
Yeah, so this is why I have to say. Then how can I call, so constructor will be called. Then how can I call this cell taco method?
T1.cellTaco.
Yes. Calling the methods T1 dot cell taco. Okay, when you type in your program using a hand, then be careful and try to avoid this extra space. Okay. T1 dot cell taco and okay. And if I call T2 dot cell taco, and how do I call this method? Revenue earned. Okay, if it is non-static, then I will call T1 dot revenue earned method. But if it is static, I discussed static modifier, right?
Then you taco truck.revenue earned.
Thank you. And if it is for non-static, in this case it should be better to make static, so I will make by taco track class name, right? For static I will call okay. So in your upcoming test you will be asked to write a class. Okay, so you will be asked to write a class, to decorate a class with some methods. By the way, when you go to write your complete program, then you have to put all of your methods within your class. But since we have different other space, then we are putting all this method in separate position, but your constructor should be within your class. Okay, and let me finish it. For C++ people, we have a different rule to declare variable, right? C++ people, remember that? How do we create taco T1 variable for C++. If we use C++, then we can use pointer, or we do not need to use new. For C++, just write this T1, and similarly T2. But in C++, we can use this keyword with pointer. In a lecture, I discuss how to do that. C++. Yes.
Do you think you could post this on V2L?
Sorry.
Do you think you could post this on V2L, like the previous test, but like with the solution on, we can study it?
I will post this on my. This video will be posted on my YouTube channel. Yes.
Does your constructor method only allow you to sell one taco? Because that's what it looks like to me.
This constructor.
Yeah.
The,
It's equal to 1, 2, and 1, right?
so it says a constructor is used to initialize an object with its fields. Okay. So how many fields it do have? Its mandatory fields is taco is using meat, cheese, and shell, right? So it says how many units are using. It will be using 2 units of meat amount. It takes 2 unit meat amount, 2 unit cheese, and 2 unit. It will use. Okay. But maybe your question is that it will reduce the meat amount as well as.
Yeah.
It will reduce, but since we have a different method, so I'm not going to write this. We can write those. The later one, I told you that I could write this after creating every cheese, it will reduce, it will update the cheese amount, right? Like this way. But since there is a different method, so we are not using this one.
So those won't become 0 after 1?
Hmm?
Those won't become 0 after 1 instance or after calling sell taco?
I don't understand your question. But since initially assume that although this does not say, we will have some amount of meat and then cheese and then taco shells, right? So every object you create, then it will use this. It will use this, and also it will decrease the amount of meat, cheese, and then shells.
I didn't see that you said the
Okay.
class variables.
Okay. Okay. So you got it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So since we have a different method, if you did not have a different method, then you could do it. It should do it here. But since we have a different method, it says cell taco. So we should write this way. Although the cell taco method is asking to write only this, it does not ask you to print as well as. But I just print as an additional discussion. I will post this lecture on my YouTube channel. You can get it, not on D2L, okay? So anyone has any question? So please practice programming. Unless you practice programming, you will not be able to write your code in your exam, okay? And thank you, sir.
Could you explain to me?
Which one?
So I'm confused about the class variables
Let me see.
and the constructor. So I guess the way I understood it